A lot of people are asking a question, and that question is this.
What is love? Baby, don't hurt me no more.
What is love? A lot of people think that love is primarily based on feelings or emotions, and there is some sense to that. For example, when I walk into a room, my wife will often say this.
Oh, I feel so Twitter-pated.
Twitter-pated? What does that even mean? But in the Judeo-Christian view, love is not primarily a feeling, but rather a commitment or an action. And so throughout the Old Testament and the New Testament, you get this sense that God has made a commitment, a covenant, to love God's people. And as the Old Testament moves on and goes into the New Testament, you get the sense that God's people includes everyone. And the word that the Old Testament used for love is chesed. Yeah, that's right. I said chesed. Chesed means loving kindness, and it's an action. So throughout the Old Testament, the people who are writing often say, we don't deserve this love. God should be angry at us. And at some points in the Old Testament, you do get the sense that God is angry at God's people, but God always comes back with chesed, with loving kindness, accepting God's people back into this covenant relationship that's based on love. And just before Jesus was born, there was this teacher, and his name was Hillel. And Hillel emphasized this idea of loving kindness. He said that the basics of Judaism is Leviticus 19:18, which says, love your neighbor as you love yourself. And one day he was challenged by a non-Jew to come up with a way of describing the law. And there are 613 laws in traditional Judaism. And this man said, explain to me the law while standing on one foot. And so Hillel said this, what is hateful to you, do not do to others. This is the whole of the law. The rest is explanation. Go and learn. In other words,
what is love? Baby, don't hurt me.
You see, here, love is based on an action, a deliberate attempt to not hurt someone else. This is what love is for Hillel. About 20 years after Hillel died, there was this man named Jesus who was also a teacher. And he went around teaching basically the same thing that Hillel said, that the essence of their religion was not based on violence, but based on loving compassion and kindness towards others. In fact, some people posed a very similar question to Jesus and said, what is the essence of the law, the Torah? And Jesus said, the essence of the Torah is to love God and to love your neighbor. On these things hang the law and the prophets. At which point, Jesus said, "Aww." Okay, so I don't know if Jesus actually said that, but he could have. Jesus also knew of Hillel, and he flipped Hillel's saying around. He said, do unto others as you would have them do unto you. Here we see that love is not a feeling, but an action. You may not feel very good about your neighbor, but Jesus still calls you to love them, not in a way of feeling, but in a way of doing good things for them, of hoping for the best outcome for them. So Jesus says on the Sermon on the Mount, love your neighbor, who includes even your enemies. And why should you do this? So that you can become sons and daughters of God, because God makes the rain and the sun fall on the righteous and the unrighteous alike. And why is this important? Because you can't grow without rain, and you can't grow without sun. You need both to grow, and God wants us to grow in the ways of love, which is a kindness, a commitment to the well-being of our fellow human beings, which may even include our enemies. So in the Judeo-Christian tradition, love is not based on feelings or emotions, but commitment to the well-being of others. Those are my thoughts on love, and I'd love to hear what you think. Love ya. Bye.